and you swing out wide. Do the girl mix in a step or two, put them all together and you're doing the jive. And stomp your feet and you swing out wide. Mess around a while, shake it, boogie woogie.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you are having a fantastic day so far because we have a whole hour of Computer America lined up for you, where in the second part of the program, we will be doing computer and technology news, and we have a number of very interesting articles that you should definitely hear about, including the fact that, I don't even know how you begin to do this, but they somehow discovered the oldest color ever. So the very first color, I guess it's very influential for life to begin. And so, yeah, we now know what the color looks like. And that's going to change depending on what monitor you watch the show through. Also, we have a number of articles about Apple, NVIDIA, Audi, things like that. Hey, you're definitely going to want to check it out. But in the first part of the program, as we normally do, we have a guest with us who we'll be interviewing and learning about what they do, how they do it, and everything. Where in the first part of the program, we will be talking to a company called Truly Social Games, which, hey, let's face it, that's what you want games to be, truly social and fun. So, all right, and we're going to be talking to them in just a moment. But until then, a couple of things, including ComputerAmerica.com. That's where you'll find everything for today's show, be that a link to our guest website or a link to, of course, where to download some of the games that we're going to talk about today. And just anything and everything we mention on today's program, you can find right there in one place. So if you're busy, if your hands are tied, if you're driving, don't worry, we got you covered. Also, while you're there, be sure to check out the social media contest brought to you by Logitech and check out the live video stream brought to you by OWC, but you can also find that at twitch.tv/Computer America. All right, so with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and just get started with our guest. As I mentioned, company Truly Social Games, and joining us today is the co-founder and CEO, Mr. Cooper Dubois. So without further ado, Cooper, thank you for joining us here on Computer America, and welcome on.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, our pleasure, our pleasure. So this is always a lot of fun. We love having game developers and game studios here on the program because playing games is one thing. We talk about that all the time, and it's great fun to play them. But to know how they're made, there's an entire business and a different struggle than just trying to play and talk about them. So let's go ahead and get some background on Truly Social Games, on yourself. Were you always in the game industry, or just give us some background?
Okay, that's about 5 questions there, but we'll start with the first one. What is Truly Social Games? How do we get started? Basically, it kind of boils down to my story where I've been in casual game space for about 12, 14 years now. I originally started working at Big Fish Games in Seattle for a couple years, and I formed my own company called Double Down Interactive, and we had a product in 2010. 9 or 10. I think we made it in 2009. We launched in 2010. It was called Double Down Casino. This is when Facebook was really starting to take off, really gaining some steam. And they started having games on Facebook. I'm sure everyone remembers like Pirates and the Texas Hold'em poker games and things. And all these games were originally getting started. And on Facebook, what we noticed is if your friends were playing these games, you got a notification in Facebook saying, hey, my friend's playing this game. You should come play it with me. And it was this, new social thing there that they were doing, and we looked at that as free advertising. And so we were currently in the middle of a product that was doing okay, and we always wanted to make something better than what we had at the time. And so when I was looking at Facebook at the time, we realized we wanted to be on Facebook because of this free social interactions they have with all their users. So I looked around at Facebook and I thought, what was Facebook missing? They were missing a lot. And I thought, what was the most tried and true game mechanic of all time and was one of the most successful ones, which were casino games.
Right.
So we went out to be the first Facebook casino, and we created Double Down Casino in 2010. We blew up with Facebook. It was wildly successful. And then in 2012, we actually sold the company to a slot machine manufacturer called International Gaming Technologies for $500 million.
Wow.
And when you sell a company like that, they make you stick around for a couple years to kind of make sure the bus still drives. So I did that. And then I retired at 38. And I basically took a break for about 6-7 months and realized I wasn't built for the leisure lifestyle. And I got really bored, and I basically thought, well, let's start a new game company. And I talked to my good friend I've known for 20-plus years, Patrick Tugas, who's worked for AAA titles, which are your PlayStation-type games, your computer games, your Xbox games for 20 years. And I could name off a bunch of titles, but he's worked for all the big companies and everything. And he was working for Capcom up in Canada at the time. And I said, hey, I got this idea. I want to make some really cool socially interactive phone games. And he said, great. So he quit his job and moved down to Portland with me, and we started the company. We realized we couldn't do it ourselves, so we knew some friends over in Belarus, Minsk, that we formed an allegiance with, a partnership with, and they were a studio. And we grew that studio from 5 people to about 30 right now that work out of Minsk in Belarus making the game for us. And we communicate throughout the day, and we actually have a really nice workflow because when we're getting up, they're going to bed, and when we're going to bed, they're getting up. So it was this nice tandem relationship we have as far as communication. So that's how the company was formed. And at the time we formed the company, I was friends with Todd Hoffman from the TV show Gold Rush. Mm-hmm. And he had this idea, let's make a gold mining game. And a backstory to me is I actually grew up in Cedar Creek, California. Jackson, Cedar Creek, California, which was the original gold rush area in California back in the 1850s. So I lived actually on the other side of a hill of a gold mine, and everything around me was, basically gold mine related. So I was very interested in making a gold mining game, and I loved his show, and I knew he had a big following, and we wanted to work with him then. And because of contractual obligations he had with his TV channel, and he couldn't do it then, but he became free this year finally. And so we made the gold game. We have it out. It's been out since last October. It's doing quite well. And today, we actually just launched Win Todd Hoffman's Gold, where you can actually come to our game and win real gold of Todd Hoffman's. I just packed up and shipped off 20 boxes yesterday to our first 20 winners.
Very, very cool. Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about Planet Gold Rush. And I saw the that promotion there, and I guess Gold Fever, it's one thing to have it in a video game, and I think, gold is often used as currency in a lot of video games, but the fact that you're able to actually put something physical in people's hands, I mean, that adds, I guess, a level of uniqueness to your game as well. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment, but sure. I wanted to pick your brain about what kind of drew you to, you made the distinction between AAA games and Facebook games, social games, mobile games. What drew you to the fact that maybe you wanted to you started up a studio and you wanted to do social games, you wanted to do social media games, things like or mobile games. Why is this platform so appealing to you as opposed to trying to maybe start something up on a lot of people do, Steam, and they try to do kind of budget AAA or, kind of budget titles on computer, console, what have you. Why mobile? Why social as opposed to console, PC, AAA, larger endeavors?
Right. Let me ask you a question. Do you walk around the street with your PlayStation in your pocket?
If I could, but no, I do not.
Do you check your PlayStation about every 2 minutes?
No.
So the reason why we looked at that, AAA games are great. The good ones, I mean, it's bigger than the movie industry now. They're very calculated in what they do. And by the way, their audience is actually very limited. I mean, does your mother own a PlayStation? My mother doesn't. My girlfriend doesn't. I mean, it's a very narrow niche market. I mean, yes, there's a 80-year-old that has a PlayStation, but that's 1 out of 10,000. Last time I checked, there was over 4 billion smartphones on the planet.
I mean, just real quick, I mean, I guess that comes from the fact that consoles were some of the first ways that people were able to play video games. So I think,
Yes.
and this is something that I'm sure that you busted, when you talk to, people like myself or investors or people like that, where they think of gamers and they think of young 20s white male sitting in their parents' basement. That's a gamer,
Exactly.
but a gamer
Right.
isn't just that anymore, is it?
No, well, what I learned was when I worked for Big Fish Games. Big Fish Games, has been around since I think 2002 or 3. And when I first started working there, it was known as this thing where 90% of their customers were women, middle-aged women, were buying their games. And at the time, it was a dirty little secret. It was like a little 20-minute escape from taking care of the kids or making dinner. They go play their Diner Dash games or Find It games, or they had millions of games to play from these things. And I realized that was a huge audience, and they were much more apt to spend money on games than a 16-year-old kid who doesn't have access to a credit card, or even a 24-year-old kid who's more worried about their latte or their beer that night than buying a game for $5. So I realized there's a huge market out there, and women were playing games. But it was, at the time, 2006, this was a dirty little secret. They really didn't tell their beyond their really good friends what they were doing. Well, that's 12 years ago, and the situation's evolved where everyone's playing games. And the one thing that happened was smartphones came out in 2005, I believe, or something. Right after the first iPhone.
Yeah, like the first Blackberries and the iPhone came out like 2007, 8, and really launched with the iOS store. So,
right. If you look at that from where it's come from and how the phones evolved, I mean, a phone now has more horsepower in it than a PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
Almost more than PlayStation 3. Oh, by the way, it's got a lot of fun gadgets in it. There's a GPS in your phone. There is a gyroscope in your phone. There is 2 cameras on your phone now. So there's all these cool tools that we're actually trying to work on now, is implicating like how do we get beyond the screen of just touching the screen and playing on a screen, which is what we have now, to actually using all these other tools and toys that have been built in the phones for years that we can access and become a more social channel, where actually you can find someone on the planet. Hey, this guy's playing my game down the street. I can go talk to him, or I can know where he lives and interact with that person. So we're looking at all those options as far as all the cool features that even a PlayStation or Xbox does not have in its system, where the phones have an amazing toy set that's not being used yet. So we're really looking at that right now. How do we implement the toys that have been sitting there for the last couple of years?
Right. So, all
I
right.
don't see it used too often across the platform yet.
Right. So that's why you're doing iOS mobile, iOS Android kind of game. And you
Yes.
can do a lot of fun things with that. We've seen, we've actually seen a lot of innovation when it comes to these. It's not just simply, touch your screen 1,000 times and get a token.
Right.
There's actual subtlety in gameplay to be had. So let's focus in on Planet Gold Rush. From what I can tell, this seems to be truly social games first release. And what is the game itself? Like you download it, and what do you do in it?
There's multiple factors of the game. We try to make a very robust, basically to create more interest from a broader breadth of users. So the basic meta gameplay is you're a gold miner and you have a gold claim, and you have to go around and build different buildings, upgrade these buildings, open up new lands, play new challenges. And then we added a few other features that other games don't have, where it's a little more arcadey style games that you can go play to earn some things. We use every game has an in-game currency that's free. We're in the freemium model. So we both support, people who want to go through quickly and the grinders who want to just sit there and play for hours a day. But the main purpose of the game is to go out and explore new areas, find gold claims, generate gold, create wealth for yourself, and update and build up your gold claim.
So
Your area.
yeah, and I mean, it sounds, of course, like it's something that will build upon itself. The more you advance, the more options you'll have, things like that. You said that you know kind of started up a partnership with with Todd Hoffman, and I'm sure because he is he does this for a living in real life, and you grew up in the area where this has happened. Like you can mix elements of realism, but realism doesn't always translate into compelling gameplay.
Correct.
What did you really try to highlight with Gold Rush that has people kind of coming back? I mean, what's the carrot to the end of the stick?
Well, the carrot to the next stick, of course, is to be top players in the game. We took that above and beyond because we realized we have this great connection with Todd Hoffman, who's a real gold miner, and we have this great gold mining game. There's hardly any out there. I think we're the best one. Sorry to beat my own horn, but I do. And I thought it was this perfect combination of like we can actually make real world combined with internet world here or game world you want to call it, and actually create a contest and within that where we can actually give away on a skill based game real gold prizes, which we do daily. So that was a natural fit with Todd Hoffman. He has an audience. I believe 200 million people watch Gold Rush around the world.
Very cool.
So he's probably the most famous gold miner in history. And so we thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to have a partnership with him and give away his gold on our game through our game.
Yeah. So really outline that. That's obviously your newest promotion. I saw that. If you go over to the website, we have a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, Todd Hoffman. I mean, you look at him, you know his face, and so I mean. Why did you feel it was a good idea? You mentioned that you just had to package up 20 packages. Trust me, we've done giveaways. Actually sending things to people was pretty annoying, but you took it upon yourself to do this. Why are you sending things to people?
Well, when you give away something, it's like the tangibility of it's very important. So we really want to create this thing from this virtual world area to the real world. I think this is a nice half step, or at least an introduction for most people. Like, hey, things really can come true. And things can happen from the virtual world to the real world, especially when we have such a great connection with Todd Hoffman.
No, it makes perfect sense. So you are sending out an ounce of gold to people who go up on the leaderboard. Just real quick, you mentioned that there were in-game purchases. We'll, of course, kind of talk about what exactly you can buy and how that factors into gameplay. But, I mean, one question that comes to mind is the fact that if you want to, kind of do well on the leaderboards, like progressing through the game to a certain point, I understand that you can completely do that without paying it. There is a free aspect of the game, but if you want a chance to kind of win the gold, is it rewarding people who are play for hours a day? Is it rewarding people who spend the most money on the game? How are the leaderboards set up to distinguish players?
At the end of the day, it's skill based. Internet gambling is still illegal in America, so we can't have anything that's not skill based. So it's basically whoever can get the highest score every day. So it really depends on how good you are at the game. And yes, you can. I believe in people shouldn't have to come and pay to play or anything. So plenty of opportunities for people to come just play our normal game and earn enough coins and whatnot to get tickets to the game. We give away a ticket a day, I think, and 5 tickets when you first start to get people acclimated to the game. But I think our first 3 days we were out, our top 3 winners didn't buy a single thing from us. They all won by within the game, playing the gameplay. We've really seeded the game well for both camps. If someone wants to give us money, please do, but there's no reason that you have to. We really leveled the playing field in that department, I believe.
No, and that's certainly great to hear because, and I used to be on the side when I was a bit younger, no pay to win whatsoever. Money ruins games when it comes to the competitive nature of games. But then as I kind of gotten a little bit older, had a little bit less time, really you kind of even that playing field because there are some people out there that have nothing better to do than play for 16 hours a day. And I just know I would never be able to compete with these people. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but an industry average, less than 2% of the people who play your game ever buy ever.
Less than 2%.
You have 2% of your people, if 2% of your audience actually makes a purchase, you have a fantastic game.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yes.
So 2% actually pay. So yeah, and I guess so even if So I guess you're saying that even if you do kind of pay, only 2% of people do actually pay, and so I guess it really doesn't pay for your game.
2% of your audience is actually covering everyone else.
Yeah. Well, no, and covering everyone else. I'm sure that there's things like advertisements in the game and whatnot. But I mean, 2%, even that, I guess it doesn't make sense to completely turn off, like, pay or else. It doesn't make sense to turn off 98% of your audience just in hopes that 2% actually does, kind of, bite the hook. So, all right.
Well,
so
I mean, the whole industry has been evolving, since smartphones and iTunes came out. When you first got your phone back in 2008 or 9, like most games, they charge you 99 cents or $2 to play it.
Mm-hmm.
What the industry realized is that people don't want to pay money to try a product. How many games did you buy back then? This is a terrible game. I don't like it. I spent $2. I can't get my $2 back. And what they realized is, hey, if we give the game out for free and have a different avenue of making money, instead of getting one person to pay the $2, I can get 20,000 people to download it and play it. And it just becomes a numbers game. I mean, the more people you have playing, the better. I mean, at Double Down, we had over 2 million people playing a day, every day, 365 when I left. And then it just comes down to how much money can you make per daily active user. They call it ARPDAU for all these acronyms we have.
Right. So, and I guess, having a couple thousand people playing your game and maybe potentially paying 99 cents, that's something. But having 2 million people and then even 2% of that paying, obviously going to make a lot more money. And you have the chance of, just word of mouth spreading, things like that. Let's talk about the game again. And let's talk about, you mentioned that this is, of course, skill based. It's not, it's not strictly pull the lever, spit out a prize. Talk about what mini games you can actually play in, and how is it skill based? Is this accuracy? Is this speed? Is this memorization? Talk about the mini games.
Okay, so we have several mini games. We have 2 driving games. We have a trommel game, which is our most popular. Where basically in gold mining and Todd Hoffman type world of gold mining, you dig up a bunch of dirt that's supposed to have gold in it. You run it through this big machine that sprays water and everything, and it washes the gold out. We couldn't make a video game of operating this machine because basically it's pulling levers and watching dirt go by. So we decided to make it fun where you're actually hosing down the dirt on the inside, which is the fun part. And so in this game, rocks are coming at you, and you got to hose out the rocks to get the nuggets out of the rocks. And there's, basically strike rocks, we call them. They're red. That will take a strike on you, and you get 3 strikes to the chance to win the game. It's very arcadified. You get power-ups in it for like double spray or, what's the other ones? Speeding up, slowing down, all these kind of fun things you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're trying to be true to the gold mining game genre or the gold mining in general genre, but making it fun and arcadey. Another one is driving a dump truck across the dirt roads trying to get to the trommel. Another one's speeding on a boat to get to the area where you need to mine. We also have mini games where you're actually doing a survey game, trying to clear an area to dig it up to get the pay dirt, we call it, to bring to your trommels to get made into gold.
Yeah, and I also see one here about a helicopter flying down a river. That might be kind of like exploration or something of that nature.
Yes, that's part of a mini game.
Yeah.
So in a mini game, you have to go out. Obviously you have your gold claim, and you go discover one area and unlock things in an area. And then I think we have 10 areas now that you have to unlock over the course of the game, where you keep on exploring and finding new items, new challenges. In that world, there's about 30 different little games that we play with in that to get the items. Every time you get an item, it's not like, oh, you found it here, it's free. It's like, no, you got to actually earn it. You have to complete this game for us to get it. So it breaks down this mini game into mini games across the game spectrum for us.
So lots to do. Right. So lots to do, and let's see. So the leaderboards, is every individual game its own leaderboard that can potentially win this promotion you're doing with Todd Hoffman, or is it a kind of like a combined across all of them? There's going to be one winner a day.
Currently, we're just running the Todd Hoffman trommel game right now. We're in the works to make a new game to replace this or compete with it in the near future, but we want to keep it simple. We knew this was our most popular video game we had out there from our previous 6 months of experience, and so we knew that one was going to be the winner for this first get off the ground of this promotion. People love it. I think there's about 2,000 people playing it right now. So I'm really excited about that. But that's why we picked it, is because we already did our research. One thing we do is we really listen to our audience. We have a great customer service group where if anybody writes in, they're going to get a personalized message back from our customer service, unlike a lot of games where you write in and nothing happens. We listen, and that's why we try to be, as part of being social, is listening to our customers, listening to our players, watching what they do, and giving them what they want.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was reading some of some of your reviews, and the first one that stood out to me was, well, holy snap, a dev who actually replies to comments that they receive. That's high praise coming from some of these developers who, I won't lie, and I'm sure you've seen it. A lot of mobile, iOS, Android games are mass produced. They are cheaply made, and they are done by teams who have a deadline of make me 10 games this month, or
right.
Or you're in trouble. Yeah. So you actually seem to be investing a lot of energy into continuing this gold rush.
Definitely, and I've always viewed with the advent of social media that comment fields to me are like nothing more than mere public verbal urinals. You get about 20 negative comments before someone gives you a positive comment. I think it's just human nature in general, and I'm always really proud of our comment boards where it's at least 50-50, if not better, in the positive comments.
Yeah,
we don't out unless they cuss or something, so we leave them up and we try to change their mind.
Right. No, that's very impressive, and of course you get that feedback. And I mean, let's see what else about the game. So the game we haven't mentioned yet, iOS, Android. I'm assuming available for both. Is there? Do the two compete against each other, or is it segregated that way as well?
It's the same game, so they both use the same backend. We build our game in Unity, which is a 3D kind of authoring program. And it's really easy to port over to both, so we keep the game it's completely consistent in both games. It's funny, like one system will go down, the other one will stay up, so we both, we kind of make sure they're both up at the same time, and they both have our different nuances. But we've been playing very well with both Google and Apple.
No, and that's of course great to hear. As you said, there are way more phones out there, Android and iOS space, than there are computers. So you're going to have a lot of audience members to do that. And another thing I always like to see, highly rated, a lot of rating. You obviously have been doing a good job of getting the word of mouth out, and very, very cool. I mean,
we're also international. I think we're in like 15 languages.
That is very impressive as well. So
we have a large Indian. A lot of people in India love our game for some reason. We have people in India, Russia playing. All over the world. I think there's a single country that does not so many play our game.
I would think that mainly in India, because, and this is something that we cover on the program just in our news segment as well, the only connection to computers, technology that a lot of people have are Android phones that are made in the country. So I guess games such as yours are some of the only and first forms of entertainment that they get through technology. So that'd be why I would assume you make fun games.
Thank you. Yes, I like it.
Yeah. So, so all this, and by the way, this contest with Todd Hoffman, I believe you said he just started. Is there any kind of end date? Because right now it just seems to be ongoing for the time being.
Yes, we're doing we're going to do this for 3 months. We've committed to 3 months, or Todd Hoffman and us, we've committed for 3 months. We could extend that, but right now we're going to give away gold for 3 months.
So I'm kind of interested. Did he have like a backlog and he's like, I have all these little gold nuggets, or is he out there right now going, oh, there's going to be more winners. I got to go find more gold right now.
I think Todd Hoffman's personally sitting on about 4,000 or 5,000 ounces of gold.
All right. So he might be good. I don't
know if you can see. Where's my jar here?
Yeah. And folks, if you're watching the video portion,
you can see it. This is my giveaway jar right here of Todd Hoffman's gold.
Check that out. Yeah. That's a lot of little gold nuggets.
That's about 30 ounces of gold right there.
That's very, very cool. So
if you can only, this is heavy. And you're like, wow, the first thing everybody does is I put it in their hand, like, wow, that's a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Well, gold's very heavy. And so you really notice it. But, so there's about 30 ounces of gold in there. So we have a few weeks worth of gold. We'll get some more from Todd when this runs out.
All right. So yeah, hey, and nothing better than actually seeing the prize, that people will be competing for. And let's talk about the, just kind of flesh out the in-game purchase, the free model a little bit more in the video game. You mentioned that
Sure.
there are 5 tickets that you start with, and that I'm assuming gets you into, kind of like the mini games and things like that. And then one a day. Wow, actually, the music just started playing, so we're about to head off to break.
Wow.
Yeah, Cooper, would you mind staying over so we can finish up this conversation?
Sure.
All right, so everyone, we're talking to Truly Social Games, Mr. Cooper Dubois, and he is the co-founder and CEO as we talk about his newest game, Gold Rush. Everyone, stay tuned. More Computer America right after this.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here, and we are talking to Truly Social Games, the CEO and co-founder, Mr. Cooper Dubois. And by the way, everyone, if you missed any part of today's conversation, feel free to... Cooper, can you hear me? Hello?
Ben.
Hi.
Hey, I lost you for a second there.
Yeah. So sorry, that's just the connection lagging out, but we should be okay. And as I said, that is Mr. Cooper Dubois, and co-founder and CEO. And as I was saying, if you missed any part of today's program, please feel free to check out the podcast version of the show, which is just today's show in its entirety, rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, tons and tons of other places. But in the meantime, we continue on. And Cooper, I was just about to get you to start, talking about just how much can a person play, play a day? How, obviously you've incentivized coming back daily and playing, playing if you want. How much do kind of the tickets cost? Talk about how you actually play.
Okay, so every day we have a contest to win an 1/8 ounce of gold, which actually I have in my hand here. This is an 1/8 ounce of gold. Let me see my camera.
Yep, see it
right there. Doesn't look like very much. That's about $170 worth of gold, right there.
Very cool.
And so every day people come to try and win this 1/8 ounce of gold. And on Sundays we have 2 contests where there's 2 actual 1/8 ounce gold prizes. And the cumulative winner of the week for the 7 days will win an ounce of gold on top of their 1/8 ounce. They're actually winning 1 ounce and 1/8. And I don't know what Phil, but it's about a full vial of that is about an ounce of gold. And that's worth about $1,300 to $1,400. Right
Very
there.
nice.
As you know, you can take this to any shop you see all the time. We buy gold, they'll pay you that much money for it. Or they should. I'm not guaranteeing they will, but they should. Gold's it's a commodity. It's traded on a lot of exchanges. It's considered a currency. That's why we're only in the United States right now, is because of shipping issues with foreign countries, and because it's considered basically cash to a lot of different governments.
Right.
But here in the United States, we're okay. We've done our legal homework, and we know we're legal in, I believe, 49 states. Not 40. Actually, 39 states. There's 11 states that don't allow it. And please don't ask whether off the top of my head, because I can't.
No, I completely understand. So, and that's very awesome that the prizes. And I'm just kind of interested. So, I think we got that Gold Rush available through iOS, Android, free to download, in-game or in-app purchases. But as we've talked about before, no reason to pay, and prizes drawn daily. Very, very cool.
No, like I said, our first weeks of winners, I think of the 7 winners or 8 winners we had, I think only 3 of them actually bought a package for $5.
Is there any kind of kind of ramp up, because the first week's winners, everyone's on an even playing field? Do you get like more gadgets, more toys, or are the games themselves week after week kind of a fresh start for everyone?
The Win Todd Challenge is actually the same for every single person. Every single person gets the same exact game.
Okay.
Within our game, of course, you can upgrade and expand and play the meta game, which will actually increase your opportunities to get more tickets to go play this game. And like I said before, we're going to be introducing new challenges. But the challenge, I always believe, I don't like games where you come in and like, hey, something or do this or that. You get a leg up on everyone else. No, I want the playing field to be as level as possible. The only thing that should matter here is your skill.
Absolutely, that's absolutely great to hear. And if we can, kind of transition a little bit to the game style, because mini games are fun. As I'm sure we talked about way in the beginning, you really felt like that. The way people play these video games, they pull their phone out of their pocket. They play it for 2 minutes while they're waiting for the bus. They play it for 10 minutes between classes. They have 5 minutes away from the kids. They do it when they can. And I think you've really optimized your game to take advantage of those little snippets. So, correct?
Once a minute of your time or 2 minutes of your time.
Right.
And you want to give us one, we have plenty of opportunity for you this whole day. But we understand everyone's busy and everyone's schedules convoluted. Things come up. And that's the beauty of our game, is you can pick it up, play it for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, put it down, come back to your left off, and you're off to the races again. That's the beauty of a casual game versus the hardcore games. Is the hardcore games when you sit there for hours and hours and hours, where we just, we're here for you.
Absolutely. And my other question was that, gold finding, I've never really done it. Like the closest I've done was like looking for fossils and precious gems, things like that. Not to ask why you didn't do something, but to ask, because a lot of games, they see success and they want to emulate it, and they try to do what other successful games are doing. About the time that you started to develop this game, if I'm not mistaken, Pokemon Go was really starting to take off. The idea of
2 years before they started that game. I did have that idea about using the geolocation in the phones, and we actually looked at that a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And what we came down to was basically in the phones actually have a really good GPS system in it, but for some reason our government doesn't want to be that accurate. Right. I don't know why, but it basically has like a 30-yard radius around you as far as accuracy, when it could actually have a couple feet or less. Mm-hmm. Like your GPS in your car does. So that was really prohibitive a couple years ago. We were looking at that as an option for the game. And let's just say we're going to have a big surprise in 2 months in that department. A very big surprise for our audience. I can't give it away, but I'm just going to wink, say something's coming.
Well, no, and I was, and by the way, that fuzziness that they give you for any non-military application or non-aviation application, they don't want it. It's a privacy concern, essentially, is why they give you that fuzziness. But
that's part of it.
Yeah, and I was kind of interested because, the idea of Pokemon Go is you go out with your augmented reality camera and your geolocation, and you go around finding Pokemon. Gold finding, there's a very intrinsic, part of it where you go out, you look at the ground, you explore different areas, and you pick up gold. And I was kind of wondering, if about the same time, why didn't this turn into an augmented reality? Go out with your parents, walk around, or even just on your afternoon walks, go out and look for gold in your own neighborhood.
I'm going to give you a big wink here and say, check us out in 2 months.
I see. I got you. And no, really. We hope that you come back and kind of let us know what you're planning. That sounds very exciting.
It's kind of going to be top secret right now, but big wink. Check us out in 2 months. Not front.
Absolutely. And I think I think with that, I'll let you have the last word. Did we miss any part of the game? Again, where is it available? And if people want to find out more information, where can they go?
Best place to go is planetgoldrush.com, or just look us up in one of your app store. Just type in Planet Gold Rush or Gold, and we practically pop up automatically there. We're the only Planet Gold game out there. But planetgoldrush.com.
All right, very cool. And we have a link to that in the show notes. So computeramerica.com front page stays up there for I think 2 weeks, and yeah, you can find it right there. So in the meantime, Cooper, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. A lot of fun talking about this. Very cool that you were able to actually give away real gold, and very cool to see it. And honestly, this is a really cool game.
Well, thank you. I love being on the show. We appreciate you going to come again.
Yeah, our pleasure. And please get in touch with us when you have any more announcements. And in the meantime, everyone, once again, Mr. Cooper Dubois, he is the co-founder and CEO of Truly Social Games, and you can find more in the show notes. And Cooper, until next time, have a great day.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everyone. And there he goes. Again, find more in the show notes. And again, social games, they definitely capitalize on the fact that you can play for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. And yeah, he seems like the right kind of guy. He has a lot of experience in the field and has definitely a different bent to it. Someone who's actually taking a lot of interest into what their game and how they develop it into the future. So again, Planet Gold Rush, check it out. You can see it there. So, in the meantime, though, we have another 20 minutes left in the program, and we are going to use it to its maximum as we will be doing computer and technology news. So, this is a segment dedicated entirely to news, current events, tech stories that we feel you should know about to stay up to date in this tech world. And trust us, we do it for a living, and even we can barely keep up with it. So we really hold these few minutes that we have here precious. So let's go ahead and do computer and technology news. And this is again brought to you by OWC. Check them out at owcdigital.com for all kinds of equipment for active professionals. So here we go. Computer and technology news. All right, let's go ahead and get talking about some of these. So this is the first one that, sometimes we talk about science-y kind of stories, and I'm completely fine with that. I love science. I think tech and science are so intertwined that I have no problems whatsoever covering one or the other. And this one is a little bit more on the science side, and I was just kind of interested how they even figured this out. So this is an article from Motherboard, and they are talking about the oldest color ever discovered is a 1.1 billion year old pigment. So they call it a pink pigment. The pink pigments help answer the question of why complex life took so long to emerge. So this has to do with obviously the idea that life evolved over the course of billions of years, and why it just took, kind of a snap of a finger, and we saw very simple life spawn out of nothing and eventually work its way into complex multicellular life. So, on Tuesday, that was yesterday. Today. So on Tuesday, a team of scientists from Australian National University announced that it had discovered the oldest colors ever seen in the geological record. So the pigments, which range from red to purple and look pink when diluted, were discovered below the Sahara in North Africa. Pretty interesting. So a small caveat is needed here. Obviously, rocks existed on Earth for more than 1.1 billion years ago, and rocks have color. If you've seen them, yeah, they go from gray to off gray to kind of gray. Rocks have a lot of color. So when the scientists refer to the oldest colors on Earth, they are referring to biological pigments. So it's the oldest color produced by living things. There you go. And they don't mean mixed by hand by some kind of proto-human, but rather, just life having color. And so they have a paper that was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The pigments were derived from molecular fossils of chlorophyll, which was produced by ancient organisms called cyanobacteria. Wow, I am getting flashbacks from 10th grade biology that I never thought I would get. Anywho, the pigments are derived from fossilized porphyrins, a type of organic compound that forms an atomic ring around a magnesium ion, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, they said that the researchers were able to find the pigment by crushing a billion-year-old rocks and extracting the molecular porphyrin fossils from the dust. And if you're watching the video portion, as I said before, the oldest pigments are going to be a different color depending on your monitor, but kind of a off-rose, kind of pink, kind of orange pigment is the oldest pigment that was produced on Earth, or really almost anywhere, by life. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. And they said that the new research provides strong evidence for this theory by demonstrating that Earth's oceans were dominated by cyanobacteria, which wouldn't have provided enough energy to lead to the emergence of large complex life. It was only when the dominance of cyanobacteria in Earth's ocean was superseded by more energy-dense food sources, such as planktonic algae, that conditions were favorable for more complex life. Because, let's say you got teleported back 1.1 billion years and all the elements of life were there. If the only thing you have to eat are cyanobacteria, you're not going to be a happy camper. So, anyways, it was pretty darn cool. And pig-colored pigments, yes, it's kind of an off-pig color, I guess you could say. So, there you have it. That one again from Motherboard, and it's maybe one of those articles that you're better off seeing because, again, it's pretty darn cool. So, there's that one. Now, I promise, let's get a little bit more tech-minded here, and we have a couple of these. Let's talk about, all right, so, sometimes we talk about higher-minded stuff, this company is doing this in this area or what have you, but this one is about as nitty-gritty as you can get it. This one coming to us from Tech Power Up. They're a great publication that does press releases and things like that. Well, Intel is giving finishing touches to a new wave of Xeon scalable processors based on its new Cascade Lake silicon. And one of its first parts is a 28-core chip with a 6-channel DDR4 memory interface, and it has support for up to 3 DIMMs per channel, resulting in 18 DIMM slot per socket. Essentially, that's going to mean a lot of memory. So there are a couple parts to your computer that you really want to... obviously, I come from a gaming background. So beyond just RGB, you're going to want a lot of different... a couple of different parts to really be beefy. One of them is your processor. And Xeon processors, to be fair, they're not really gaming processors. They're not meant to be for high-end gaming machines. They are meant for servers. They're meant to be kind of the controlling brain that branches out in a lot of directions, not just a few like you kind of want in gaming machines. But because they can be sent out in so many different directions, that means that they can take control of so much more memory, or random access memory, RAM, sticks of RAM, you know them. Those are important. Well, These chips, these Xeon scalable chips from Intel, each one will be able to control up to 3.84 terabytes of RAM. That's right. And they said that the memory doesn't even need to be D or direct RAM based. So with the next generation of enterprise processors, Intel is introducing support for Optane persistent memory. And they said that this 3D X-point based memory module has a performance footprint between NAND flash SSD and volatile DRAM. Essentially, all this leads to the point where each one of these chips can support up to almost 4 terabytes of DDR4 RAM. That's important not for the individual, but for servers and other processes that are hosted in clouds, and they will be able to perform a lot faster and a lot better, meaning that services provided by your Amazons, your Apples, your Microsofts, things like that, those will be ever faster and ever more efficient. Very important for the economy of tomorrow and the services that we all rely on of today. So very cool. And hey, it's good to see Intel pushing the envelope when it comes to, not just processor speed, but the idea of multi-threaded processing. So very cool there. All right. So there's that one. We have time for maybe 2 more stories. Let's go ahead and talk about. All right. So full disclosure, I like PayPal. PayPal does not pay me to say that. PayPal is a pretty darn cool service. Being able to send money to and from different people or services, or they make it super easy. PayPal, the way it operates is kind of how I wish banks would operate when it comes to transactions. It's super simple, super clean. I like it. But here we go. Sometimes they mess up. They mess up because things get automated. Obviously, when you have so many users, you can't afford to, have people individually verify every letter that goes out. But this also has its own risk baked into it. So this is coming to us from the BBC, and Leo Kellyan, talking about PayPal, told customers that her death breached its rules. So unfortunately, PayPal wrote to a woman who had died of cancer saying that her death had breached its rules and that it might take legal action as a consequence. So this is a story about an automated letter, and obviously very insensitive. So yeah, let's get into it. Saying that the firm has acknowledged, and the firm being PayPal, has since acknowledged that the letter was quote-unquote insensitive, as we just talked about, and apologized to her widower and began an inquiry into how it came to be sent. So they said that and he said that he wanted to make the other organizations aware how distressing automated messages could be. So the gentleman who received this, his wife died of cancer, unfortunately breast cancer, spread throughout her body. She died earlier this year. And about a couple of days ago, they sent that her PayPal account had been overdrawn by a number of, $3,200, or I'm sorry, 3,200 euros. Wow, I'm sorry, 3,200 British pounds. Regardless, they said that they sent a notice saying that, hey, if you don't reimburse us for the amount that your account is delinquent, and the fact that we received your death certificate proves that you are not able to pay because you're dead, we will take legal action against you and we will get our money back. So obviously, PayPal, this has something to do with the lines of an automated system that would normally go through the steps of this account is delinquent. The service rep would put in any information that would be, kind of why it's delinquent, and then it was sent out. I don't think death is often used because, first of all, we hope that no one dies. We hope it never happens. But it was used in this case. It seems like kind of a copy-paste kind of deal. And lo and behold, her husband received the letter, and yeah, PayPal says that what happened was either a bug, a bad letter template, or human error. I'm betting it's a mixture of human error and a bad letter template. So he added that he had been assured that whatever the cause, it would be addressed, although PayPal had told him it would not be able to share the information because it was an internal matter. So they said that, the gentleman who received the letter said that he's in a fine place. He he has a supportive group around him, and it didn't devastate him. But he's warning to other companies, not just PayPal, that these automated responses that are so often sent out by companies, they do have consequences on their customers and the people who they're sent to. So I know it's the easiest way, it's the quickest way to get your point across, but in some cases, a little bit of finesse is needed when responding to matters such as these. So again, PayPal's looking into it, probably an automated mistake, and just unfortunate that PayPal had to be caught up in that, but it's a good warning for a lot of companies. So yeah, who knew that dying was against PayPal's terms of service? That's also good to know. So, all right, that one aside, one more story. One more. A lot of different stories that we could talk about here. Maybe we should just outline a couple. All right, so some of the other headlines that we're not going to be able to get to include the fact that this one was a couple of places. No, actually, I want to comment on this one, and then we'll talk about the headlines. But Elon Musk, he's been in the news. Luckily, all of the kids and the coach in, I want to say Thailand, in a cave in Thailand, they were all rescued. Great to hear. Happy that they were able to make it out before the monsoon season really kicked off. Incredible effort by a lot of people, a lot of skill, and a lot of elbow grease went into rescuing them. So happy to see them. One thing that kicked off about a week ago was the fact that someone contacted Elon Musk through Twitter and asked if he had any solutions for getting the kids out of the cave. And so Elon Musk, he sent over a couple of engineers to be at the Thai government's disposal. So if they wanted any kind of structural engineers or anything that Tesla could provide, Elon said, here you go, here are some resources. They also designed themselves a mini sub. You may have seen that. There's a video. Elon didn't design it, of course, but his team of engineers did. And essentially, there's been a lot of news going around lately that Elon Musk's mini sub was quote unquote not practical for Thailand cave rescue. And my big problem with circulating stories like these is that he sent over engineers who were, kind of ready to build something, build a unit, obviously these are going to be people who build hardware, and that's what they kind of specialize in. So they came up with the best that they could in the time that they had, and to go from nothing to prototyping to not storyboarding, but essentially coming up with an idea, creating the idea, and saying it's ready to go, all in the matter of like 3 or 4 days, that's almost impossible to do. So it's okay for the Thailand government to say the mini sub was not practical. Not a lot of things are going to be practical at 3 to 4 days into development. It's the fact that they tried, their engineers tried their best, and they actually did come out with a product. It just wasn't the product that was needed. It irks me a little bit that so many people are jumping on the fact that, Elon Musk, his new product, his mini sub, wasn't what they needed. And it's like, this isn't the next Tesla. This isn't the next mass-produced item. This is something for a very specific use case. And yeah, if it's not practical, then hey, at least they tried something and they put their energy, effort, and resources into it. So, yeah, we often praise Elon Musk and his team for what they do. I think they're well-deserved of praise, even if what they did didn't directly help. Hey, they tried something. So, in the meantime, everyone, the music means that we're just about done with today's program. I want to thank everyone in the chat room, everyone listening on IRN, and everyone watching on the video portion for joining us here on today's program. And a special thanks to everyone who listens to us on the podcast version of the program. You make this possible, and again, thank you for being a loyal audience. So, until next time, everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, as I believe we have Sandy Berger. She is a regular correspondent, as we talk about, well, just, consumer electronics. She's our expert. Folks, have a great day. Catch you next time, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And again, thank you to our guest, Planet Gold Rush, for joining us on today's show. Until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.